Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. I thought it could be nice if I took all my CT Mirage position videos and put them into one big video so you can save it, use it later, send it to your teammates, or just keep it for yourself. You guys have been giving me so much support on my position videos and it's been really awesome to see. I really appreciate it. It's helped me grow my channel so much and I look forward to making more position videos in the future. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to go over how to play window on Mirage. This is probably the most impactful position on Mirage if you understand how to play it properly. Your goal as the window player and the opper on Mirage is just moving around the map, looking for picks at the start of the round, and just creating a lot of presence. The more you move around the map, the less chance the Ts are going to counter you with nades because they're going to make mistakes and not be sure where you are. If we were to start window every single round, then of course the Ts would know and just keep smoking us, smoking top mid, flashing up mid, and we wouldn't really get any early picks. The same goes if we were going to start our op towards ticket every single round, for example. The Ts would eventually just smoke us off, making our position useless. So like I said, the more we move around, the higher chance is the Ts are lazy and don't flash or smoke off an angle, and then we get free kills. Alright, so let's begin with going over starting in window. When you are starting in window, of course you want to be holding top mid at the start of the round, and then communicating with your team if you are smoked off window or if they smoke top mid because you have lost information. You want to always make it very clear to your connector and cat teammates if they can be up mid, especially if you're smoked window. The Ts could be swinging up catwalk fast, so as soon as you get smoked, you want to comment if you don't have an HE to break the smoke and get the info back. And as for the HE, I'm going to show you a very easy lineup you can throw, especially if the smoke is here. You don't want to have a lineup where you're aiming at one of the points on this wood here because you won't be able to see it if the smoke is up. So for this lineup, you just want to crouch here in this corner, look for this black mark right here, aim at the top right, and right click jump throw. This HE will land here, it won't do any damage to you, and it will nade the whole smoke. Another piece of utility you should know if you are starting window and you get smoked off is how to molly the boxes. This can be useful if your team wants to fight through connector and cat and the teams could be out boxes. It's really good to push them out of this position right before the fight happens because they will be in the open. So all you want to do is jump up here, aim in this corner right here, just hold left click, run and go into the back of the window and then just run forward and left click throw. This is what it looks like doing it through smoke. You just do the same lineup, run to the back. You can just look at the minimap on the top left, just run forward and left click throw. Now after you are smoked off window or top mid and you have done either of these things, either nading the smoke or mulling boxes for your team, your time in window as the opper is done. One of the worst things you can do as the mid player on Mirage is just sitting here behind the window smoke and waiting for it to fade. Even if you have an M4 or an op, it's just really useless and you're kind of doing a whole bunch of nothing. You should be rotating out of window and going for picks on other sides of the map and just helping your team and creating more presence. One of the most basic and easiest rotates you can do is just rotating around CT through rat hole into ticket. This way, if your A player was playing from spawn, you can tell him to just go into sight and play under balk or top balk or somewhere close into sight, and you can offer him ticket holding his ramp. Now, if anyone peeks ramp, you will have free kills, and if they do exec and smoke you off, or even if they don't smoke you off and you take your shot and fall back, if they are running out of ramp, you can throw a flash over palace like this, so that anyone swinging him from ramp will get blind and he can peek from under balk and get really free kills. One play I really like after getting smoked off window is just running like this through jungle and smoking off your teammate's palace like this so you cannot get peeked, coming to stairs, and then just peeking into ramp. Once you smoke off palace, you are safe from the palace peek and you have a chance of killing the A-ramp lurker not paying attention. If you really want to catch them off guard, this is also something you can do at the very start of the round. Just run through rat hole, don't even start peeking towards top mid, smoke off palace so you can't get peeked early, and then just peek into ramp. If you have a really good spawn, you might be able to catch this T-side player trying to cross late. Another good rotate you could make is going towards B, allowing your B player to leave his position and then go double up cat. If you want to play more passive towards B, just take an angle like this so that you can catch anyone as they're running out on the exec or if they try and walk out in the mid round. And then after you get your kill, you just want to fall back and play your life, just run back to market and live because you want to buy time for your team to rotate and not just die after getting one. If you want to be more aggressive after you rotate over towards B, you can just throw a flash like this off of the wall, then jump up van to take a deeper angle into apps. Those are the main rotates I wanted to go over. Of course, starting con and cat is also an option, but that's really simple. Hopefully by the time you've rotated con, your teammate has already smoked bottom con because the Ts have mid control, and then you can just hold over the smoke like this. And if you're rotating off of window into cat, just make sure you're aware that the Ts could be chair. So if you really want to take this line, you can just throw a flash over cat like this so that anyone chair will get blind. You could also just throw an HE like this, aiming above the lamp and taking a few steps. You will HE anyone in chair and they will probably move, and if they don't, they can't really see because they have an HE in their face. Alright, now that we went over the basic rotates, I'm going to go over a few different starts we can do. One start you definitely need to know is how to jump cat. Basically, all you need to do is jump into the window, strafe to cat like this, and then once you're on cat, you want to jump over here and hold top mid so anyone swinging early will get caught off guard and killed. Another jump you should also know is how to jump into ladder. I went over this in my catwalk video, but it's basically the same as the window jump. You just come into the window, but instead of jumping cat, you're going to jump towards ladder. So just jump into the window, strafe to the left, jump on bricks, and then jump into ladder. Once you're in ladder, you can hold an angle like this at the start of the round to try and catch anyone swinging to del pan early. But you definitely don't want to stay on an angle like this because anyone going valley will be able to see you, and I'll show you that right now. Anyone valley will be able to just crouch across you like this and then peek up into you and get a free kill on you. So it's fine to just hold it at the start of the round to try and get anyone swinging to del pan early, which is a common play, and then just back off to catwalk. Another really nice start is jumping out window and starting connector. When you jump out window, just throw a smoke off the wall like this, play anti-flash, and then hold for any of the T's swinging mid. As soon as they know you're in mid, you can just jump through your connector smoke into safety. You can do this without the smoke, but a lot of the teams on T side will molly connector or nade it, so it's kind of hard to get out safely after you get the first kill. If they molly this and then HE on the molly, or if they don't even HE at all, you're just going to take a lot of damage for no reason. So if you can just get the motion down of throwing a smoke as you jump out, you will be a lot safer. If you want to go for an early pick towards A, there's a couple different options we have. The most common one is just jumping up and taking a pick into palace. Just jump up top default, jump into palace, and then post deep. A lot of the time palace players will be lazy and just peek this angle and you might get a free kill. Something that's really strong is just communicating with your A player and having him walk into palace with you as you take this line. So just have him come up here with a rifle as you're holding deep. He can come clear these close angles and then get a free kill if he's here, or maybe just get the info and then play inside of palace if they come A. If you want to go for a pick towards A ramp at the start of the round, either you or your A teammate need to be throwing this molly, and then just come here and bounce a flash low like this, so that when you come into ramp, anyone holding will be blind and you can take this angle. Usually the T's don't cross right at the beginning of the round, but it is possible, so it's really good to have your A player come with you towards ramp and then clear this and then walk in and play in this corner. It's actually good to stay here after your teammate gets into the corner, because after you get the first kill, they might try and just chase you down and your teammate might get kills. If you're going to start B, you want to make sure one of your teammates know the fast boost into upper B. Basically all you need to do is just have someone stand right here on this shadow. So you just have your teammate run there in front of you, stand there at the start of the round, you just jump on their head like this and then jump into upper B. If you want to get a little bit more aggressive than this angle, after you don't get peeked, you can jump up here and peek deeper like this. Just be aware you can be peeked from a lot of different angles this way, but it's a really good way to get an early pick. Alright, so just to summarize your role as the opper and mid player, you should most likely be looking for some sort of pick at the start of the round, and as soon as you don't get the pick or they see your op, you want to move around to other parts of the map to try and catch them off guard. Keep being mobile around the map, try and support your teammates where you rotate, and just be as impactful as possible. Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to go over how to play connector on Mirage. Like cat and window, the other two positions I already have a video for. Connector is a very high impact spot, but you have to understand how to play it properly. Now some people might think that your only purpose as the con player is to hold off connector, and while that is partially true, as the con player you have a lot more responsibilities than that. Since the T's can almost always take connector control if they throw the right nades, it's basically impossible for us to hold it for the entire round, so what we have to be doing is fighting it and throwing smokes in a certain way to just delay them the control of connector, because we cannot hold onto it for the entire round. On top of denying the connector control, one thing we have to do as the con player is communicate what information we're seeing and hearing in mid with our other players across the map. So if we're hearing that the T's are heavy mid one round, maybe it would be good to communicate with our A player and push towards ramp or palace to try and find the lurk, because we know it might only be 1 or 2 people towards A. That's just one example of using the information we got towards mid and using it to our advantage to try and get a kill on another side of the map. So first I'm going to go over a couple of the nades we actually need to know before we even make it to connector. Since a lot of the rounds you'll be starting through A to connector, we need to know how to molly ramp for our A anchor. You'll be throwing this molly if you have a good spawn towards A and you're in front of your A player as you're running out of spawn. The A ramp molly looks like this, and all you need to do is aim in the middle of this roof here and left click throw once you reach the end of these missiles. The molly will land like this, and it will cover the back wall so no one can jump up, as well as no one being able to run through the left side of the molly. Now if you're starting towards A and you are behind your A anchor, you need to know how to flash over mid. This flash is really simple. Basically you just need the flash to land above this part of the roof right here, so you just jump through it like this. Just come out of spawn, jump through here. Anyone top mid will be blind as they're running out, and it will get your window player free kills if they try and swing with no support. Now I'm just going to go over one more quick thing before we actually go into connector, and that is that you should not always be starting through A. If your spawn is really bad, like one of these spawns back here, when you're trying to cross over ramp, the opper, if he is there, will get a free kill on you as you are trying to jump across. So instead of starting through A, just start through window, but make sure not to block your opper so that he can hold top mid at the start of the round, and you can just start connector like so. Alright, now that we went over everything you need to know before you actually make it to connector, the next thing you need to know is how to throw the bottom connector smoke. This smoke is really easy. You just have to aim at the bottom of this pillar here, run and left click throw like this. The smoke will land here, and yeah, that's a perfect bottom con smoke, and you don't need to know any fancy lineup. You just run and throw it against the wall like that. This smoke makes it so the T's actually can't see if we are peeking underpass, so this will slow down their default because they have to clear and make sure that we are not peeking underpass before they want to progress into con. And it also gives us a nice headshot angle if the T's try and run up cat at the start of the round. We should be throwing the smoke almost every round, and the keyword there is almost. You want to make sure you're not just randomly throwing the smoke just because I told you to or you think it's good. Because if the T's actually don't throw any mid nades and our opera just sees that there is nothing mid, or our window player just calls it there's nothing out mid, then there's no point in throwing the bottom con smoke because we're wasting it and we're not really denying anything since they already aren't out mid. You want to be smoking bottom con as a reaction to the T's nades, so if they smoke top mid or window and our opera says they could be out mid, then we will throw the smoke. Or if our opera has been holding top mid and said there's no one mid, and then all of a sudden they smoke window or top mid and our opera loses the info, that's when we want to be throwing the bottom connector smoke. For example, let's say the T's smoke window late round and we haven't used our bottom connector smoke at the start of the round. That way we can smoke bottom connector as a reaction to their window smoke, and then our bottom connector smoke will actually last longer than their window smoke. Now if our bottom connector smoke lasts longer than their window smoke, they might have to use another smoke in window to take connector safely. Or if they don't, we can just ask for a good supporting flash from our A player and just fight mid while they're in valley in the open. Another way we can use the bottom connector smoke is taking a timing peek onto underpass. If you want to be as safe as possible doing this play, you want to throw the smoke a little bit deeper into mid. So just throw the smoke a little bit before we actually make it into connector, and it will poof like this mid and cover us a little bit better. That way we can just walk through the smoke and take a timing peek on anyone trying to walk up underpass. You can also have your window player throw a flash like this. You just crouch in this corner, aim right here at this mark on the wall, left click the flash. This flash will land there and blind anyone in underpass, so when you take the peek, there won't be any risk because anyone here will be fully blind. Making a play like this is really good to do early in the half because it helps condition the T's to be afraid of this play. Because if we just always throw the bottom connector smoke and never do anything with it and just sit behind it, they'll just disrespect it and not really be afraid of it. So we just have to add in some plays to our smokes and make sure that the T's are actually afraid of the smoke because it will help slow down their default. If the T's are swinging out mid fast on a lot of the rounds, a really nice play you can do is just throw the bottom connector smoke, have your A player get ready to throw a flash like this over connector, then just get ready to swing through on the flash pop so that anyone in valley will be blind and you'll have free kills and be able to jump away after you get your kill. Just make sure the flash goes deep enough over mid so that it blinds anyone in valley. Another really strong start is just jumping out window and playing an underpass and throwing a smoke halfway like this, and then just holding for the bottom mid walk down, having your cat and window player get ready to fight off your contact, and in the mid round we can just get a flash from any of our teammates to refight mid, and we'll be in a really strong spot to get the opening kill. You can also actually get boosted on this back wall, so if we put a crouch bot here, you can see that if you have a teammate come here and stand in this corner, we can just jump up on their head and have a nice off angle for anyone running up mid at the start of the round. One quick note about the underpass smoke, just make sure you're throwing it closer to you than you are towards the end of underpass. That's because with this smoke, the T's can take a risk, maybe right click flash or just run through the smoke, and then they'll be able to see us as we're fighting mid. But if we smoke over here, then the T's won't really have much vision and it'll be harder for them to come through the smoke and we'll just have more space fighting for mid. That's basically everything you need to know for playing in mid. Now I'm just going to go over a couple of things you need to know for helping our A player. If the T's are execing A and our teammate is playing under balk, we can throw a flash over him like this so that anyone running out ramp will be blind and he can peek out for some free kills. Now if our teammate is playing around default, we want to throw a flash behind him like this. Really simple, just throw it behind him. Anyone ramp will be blind and our teammate can peek with the flash. If you still have your smoke, you can right click a smoke like this and jump up on the bench to the right and then play around this smoke and hold for anyone running out of palace or see them if they're trying to cross default. If the T's have already taken the site and you have full nades, these are some retake nades you need to be throwing. The first thing is the palace smoke, so just run against this wall here, aim at this pillar right here, left click, and the smoke will land in palace. Then after that, just run over here to this box, aim in this point right here in the middle of these two marks on the wall, and left click the molly. This molly will land here and burn out all of default and also burn out a good bit of firebox. Mollying default is usually more important than mollying firebox because they are planting here. Usually people play around here and peek different angles, but if you want to molly firebox because you think they might be there, you can just throw it a little bit deeper like this and it will land in firebox and burn anyone playing inside of that position. Just to summarize, your role as the con player is to use your smoke and go for plays to deny info on mid and just delay the default. Use some of the early plays that I showed like the flash over con, the boost and underpass just to apply pressure to the T's in middle so that the next time they go middle they have to worry about these different plays. If you're playing passive con, make sure you're communicating what you hear in mid and then pushing the other side of the map if you know they are heavy mid, or if you know they are light mid and you think it's just one or two, call for a refight in the mid so you can clear it and then go stack the other sides of the map. Make sure you know how to support your A player with the flashes I showed, and if they actually take the bomb site, make sure you know the retake nades so you can retake the site easily. Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to go over how to play CATWALK on Mirage. There's a lot of different things you can do as the cat player, so I'm going to go over everything you need to know today. The first thing I'm going to go over is the different starts we can do, and of course the most obvious one we're going to start with is the CATWALK start. The first thing you need to know when you are starting Cat through Market is you are going to need to support your teammate on B by either throwing a molly for him early or just dropping your molly towards him as you run towards Cat. This is more specifically for if we are going to be leaving him on an island and trying to get into ladder or fighting off of Cat and clearing mid, because if we are here fighting mid or in ladder, then our B player is on an island, so he might want to use a molly early to deny the rush and then have one later for if they try and B pop on him. Now after that, once we are around this area of Cat, we should definitely be listening for if anyone is going fast upper B or dropping underpass. This way we can communicate that to our B player, tell him if one is in apps, and also our mid players will know if there is one underpass. This of course will help us as well, because if we are playing Cat like this and we hear this guy running fast underpass, we can throw a nade off the wall like this to try and hit him as he is running up. Now we need to decide if we are playing a more passive approach to Cat or trying to fight mid or get into ladder. If we're going to be playing a more passive approach to Cat this round, just playing around bricks and peeking off our connector and window players' info on Cat, then we need to know the re-smokes for bottom connector. One of the most important smokes on mid towards this map is the re-smoke on connector, so we can throw this from Cat to help our con player keep this control for longer. There's a couple lineups for this smoke, and I'll just start by showing you the easy and safe one first. For this one, you just want to make sure you throw it a few seconds before your connector player needs it. You just come into this corner, look for this spot right here, basically just make a square with these points, with this being the bottom left, aim in the middle, and left click throw. This smoke goes into the air like this, lands, and takes a while, about 6 seconds to land, so just make sure you're throwing it a good bit before the connector player needs it, and it will be a good smoke. Now if you're able to peek off Cat like this, there's a way to throw the smoke to be a lot faster. Basically, you just stand anywhere around here, find the top point of this arch right here, and aim up to this part of the wall, and just left click throw. This smoke just bounces bottom con and smokes it perfectly. If your team is planning on fighting middle mid-round, just make sure you know how to molly underpass. You just want to stand here, left click the molly at this part of the wall on Cat, and it bounces and lands in underpass. This will make it a lot easier for your connector players to fight and clear mid, because they don't have to worry about being timing peaked from underpass, and when you swing off Cat, you can just swing like this, and then after the molly is fading and mid is clear, you can come hold it like this. One more thing to know if you are playing back towards bricks on Cat is how to help your B player when a B pop is coming in. When you hear the pop coming in, you can bounce an HE like this to get anyone as they're running up. You can also throw this at the start of the round if you hear them rushing. Like I said before, when we're starting here, if you hear the rush, just come here and bounce the HE off the wall so that anyone running B is going to get ripped by the HE and make it a lot easier to hold. A really nice smoke you can also throw from here is as you hear the pop coming in from B, just run like this, bounce the smoke like here, and you can play behind this smoke, headshot anyone running in, and then also hold angles like this that are, really cheeky and can get you some pretty free kills. If we're going to be playing aggressive towards mid from Cat, it's pretty easy. We just want to start towards Cat, obviously, and just throw a left click flash over mid like this and take a peek off of Cat. This flash will get anyone swinging mid, and you might have some pretty free kills as long as you hit your shots. Just make sure not to overextend, because you can get peeked from here, here, and here if they got 2 boxes early. This peek from Cat is really nice, especially if you have your connector player bounce a flash like this and peek at the same time as you. And of course, also make sure your con player or A player is early throwing a flash like this as they're running to their spot to blind anyone top mid at the start of the round. Now the next start I'm going to go over is the ladder room start, and there's actually 3 different ways we can get to ladder at the start of the round. If we're okay with taking the risk of getting spotted, we can just run off Cat like normal, flash over mid, and then jump into ladder. If we don't have the best spawns though, the T's can be out mid quick and maybe spot us as we're going into ladder, or be swinging chair. The safest ways to get into ladder are actually from window. We can either ask our teammate in window to boost us into ladder, or just make the jump ourselves. Just have your window player crouch here so you can jump up into ladder, and then you're good. You just want to run, jump into the window, and then go left as you are towards the middle, and then you are up into ladder. Basically, you just want to jump into the window normally like this, and then once you are in the middle of the window, you want to start going forward and then press A or left key. So you just want to run, press A, and then jump to the left. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. You just got to keep practicing it and you will get it down. Make sure to do it in all one fluent motion so that it's fast and you don't get seen from mid. Also, definitely make sure one of your teammates is throwing the flash over mid I showed before, because you don't want to die from the T's just swinging mid and you're just, jumping in the middle of window. Now I'm going to be going over what we actually should be doing once we are in ladder. Playing in ladder is really strong because if the T's do have mid control, the window boost is a really big gap that you always have to worry about. But since we're in ladder, we can just jiggle between Cat and window and make sure that no one is boosting and make sure that no one is walking up Cat. This makes it so either our window player or our con player can rotate over to B to help him and reinforce B. We just need to make sure that our B player is aware that he is on an island for the start of the round until he gets a rotate from one of the A players. Another strength of starting ladder in the early round is that if your team wants to fight middle in the mid round, it's really strong to be here if the T's aren't aware, so we can swing off of Cat on the mid fight and they might not expect us coming from ladder. One last thing I want to go over is the fact that you can always gap catwalk if your team is wanting to do a heavy mid fight. Technically, if you're fighting mid, cat won't be gapped, but what I mean is you won't be here for the B player if they do a B rush or an early B pop. As long as we're okay with taking the gamble that the T's are coming mid and fighting it with heavy numbers, and our B player understands the situation and, stuffs his site accordingly, it should be okay. Just make sure to communicate with him that you are not towards B at the start of the round. One thing I think is really strong on these mid fights, and is actually something that your connector player can do also, is just jumping into underpass, smoking it like this towards your side of the underpass, and then just playing here, waiting for the mid walk down and waiting to fight with your connector and window player. If the T's don't actually send anyone underpass to see the smoke, then your position might not actually get cleared, and anyone walking down mid would be a pretty free kill for you. Then your connector player can even play off of your contact and get any kills if they are standing in the middle of mid. Another nice play you can do towards underpass is just throw the same smoke, but have a teammate come here and boost you in this corner. This way you will see anyone running out mid and have kills as they are swinging. One quick note about this smoke is that it's actually better to smoke it towards your side instead of deeper, because if you smoke it this deep, yes, it might apply a little bit more pressure and these people might not go through, but there is always the risk of them actually just running through the smoke, and if you're standing here and playing an underpass, you don't want to risk that, and you just want to smoke on this side so that you have a lot more space, and if they do walk through the smoke, it'll take more time, and if they try and run through the smoke, you'll hear them and have time to turn. And of course, one more mid-fight start we can do is the cat jump. It's basically the same movement for the ladder jump, but the opposite. Once you're in the window, just hold your right and forward key and then jump up cat. This way you can catch anyone mid off guard from cat, and just make sure your teammate is flashing over mid like before. Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to go over how to anchor A site on Mirage. Playing A is probably one of the hardest spots on Mirage, and honestly it's probably one of the hardest spots in the game. You're going to find yourself alone a lot of the time, and A lurks are very common and A execs are also very common, so you have to know how to play against both in order to be a good anchor on A site. Alright, so the first thing you need to know is how to molly A ramp at the start of the round. This molly is used to deny anyone from running out of ramp early, so if they do want to rush, they have to smoke the molly, or if they run through it, they'll just take some damage and you'll have an easier time holding the site. All you have to do is run towards ramp, aim right here in the middle of these 2 points on the roof, and let go when you reach the end of these missiles. So the molly just looks like this, and make sure you do run far enough so that the molly does spread to the back wall, because if it lands too far over here, it won't actually spread and they'll be able to stand on the back and be able to peek you into the A site. Alright, and the next thing you need to know for the start of the round is how to flash over mid. And literally all you have to do for this is just throw the flash over mid, stand anywhere around here, just make sure it goes far enough to the right so that anyone running out of mid at the start of the round will get blind by the flash, and then your window player will get free kills if they try and just swing dry at the start of the round. Sometimes your connector player will start towards A with you, and if he is in front of you, he can throw the ramp molly for you so you can save your molly, and then you'll be the one throwing the mid flash. But if he's behind you, sometimes you'll be throwing the ramp molly and then he'll throw the mid flash. Just communicate with whoever's starting A with you so you don't throw two of the same nades, and just make sure you're throwing these nades basically every single round. And if you're starting towards A solo, you still have to throw the mid flash, so make sure you're not forgetting that. Now that we know what nades have to be thrown at the start of the round, next we're going to go over what we should be doing after. Now for most rounds after you throw your early nades, you're going to be going back to ticket and jump spotting. Once you get to a higher level, it can be good to play into site early, but it really requires your team to rotate in and support you correctly. In most cases, your team is just going to be fighting for mid, and if you die solo towards A, you're kind of trolling the round, so it's better to just play retake for information and try and get some kills from ticket instead of just fighting to your death in the middle of the site. Now a lot of people will tell you to just come here, hold out your knife or a smoke, and then just jump spot the ramp and palace like this, but this is actually not the best way to jump spot from ticket. The best way is to have your gun out pre-aimed on palace, come like this, jump spot the ramp, and then when you peek into palace like this, you're ready to fight anyone trying to lurk out on your jump spot. This way you're still jump spotting the ramp, and then you're peeking into the palace angle so that if anyone was hearing you and trying to walk out on that timing, you're literally holding them and getting a really free kill because they're not going to expect you peeking into them so directly. If you're playing from ticket jump spotting and the T's throw an A exec, you have to know how to use your smoke to get out of the ticket position. You really can't sit here for long because this spot will get mollied and spammed, so you have to throw a lurk smoke for yourself to get out of ticket and play retake. All you have to do is stand here, aim right at this corner, and then just take a step while shift walking and throw the smoke like this. The smoke will poof out so that you can actually peek around the smoke here and peek anyone palace or ninja, and if you get a flash from your teammate, this can actually be a really strong play, but more importantly, it just applies a lot of pressure for the T's and might deny them the control of CT for a little bit longer. But really your job as the A anchor when you're playing from ticket is to just deny the T's control of CT for as long as possible and buy time for the rotate. You don't really want to just duel to your death once you're playing from ticket, because if the T's are able to take CT for free, it's really hard for your team to retake the site. But if you're able to live around here and then your team comes in and you're able to retake from CT, the round will be a lot more winnable. Another position you can play retake from is actually just playing from stairs. You can just play around stairs, take some peeks onto palace, peek into ramp as you see fit to get some info, but it's a little less common to play from stairs because if the T's throw an A exec, they're going to easily take spawn, which is actually not good for us. But the advantage of playing around stairs and top con is that if our team wants to do a mid fight, we're here ready to help. So if the enemy team is going mid a lot, then maybe you're going to want to do this instead of just playing ticket all the time because you're not getting much action. You're going to just have to read the round and understand the enemies you're playing against and make that decision for yourself. Now if you're playing from CT and your team is rotating over to help you on this site, you have to know how to smoke ramp to buy time for the rotate. You can either stand here against the box and throw the smoke like this, just make a rectangle with these points and then aim in the middle. You can left click the smoke like that, or you can run against the missiles here and just aim in the middle of these 2 points like this and left click throw the smoke. This smoke will help you transition into the site so you can't get walked out from both palace and ramp at the same time. And if the T's are trying to set up an A exec, they might be stuffed for a little bit longer, so it just buys time for your team to rotate in and stack the bomb site. Now as for playing inside the bomb site at the start of the round, this is something you're probably going to want to do after the T's have already seen you jump spotting from CT earlier in the game. That way if they've seen you playing retake, they might be a little less wary of you playing within the site and you might get some chances at some kills. One of the most common spots you can play is just being under balk, but you have to understand you're probably going to get mollied. So make sure you still have your smoke so that you can drop a smoke on the molly, and make sure your team also knows the support flashes for you to get some kills as the T's are running out of A. All they have to do is just throw a flash over you like this so that anyone trying to scale out of ramp will get blind, and then you can peek out from under balk through your smoke and get some really free kills. Another spot you can play when you're on the site is default, and when I'm playing default, I like to play right here at this angle because it's a little bit more of an off angle for anyone coming out of palace, because usually they just clear default like this, looking for anyone crouched right here, but if you're angled right here, and I'll show you right now, you're a little bit harder to kill from the T's perspective. This angle is also only good if you have a teammate spotting your ramp for you, because obviously it'll be pretty easy for the T's to just scale out of ramp and clear your default if you're just sticking out here. So if you don't have someone spotting your ramp from CT, you can just play more tucked into the default, just be aware that you might get hard cleared a lot easier. But from this position, we can actually play around the default box a little bit better. If they're running out of ramp, we can peek here and try and kill them as they're crossing towards stairs, and we can also take these fights like this. We can also get a support flash from our teammates either high behind us or in front of default like this. This way we can just peek with the flash and anyone standing around here will be fully blind. Now this next spot is probably one of the best off angles in the entire bomb site. All you want to do is come here against this wall, stand right around here, and then just hold for anyone trying to run out to Tetris. This off angle might look pretty bad, but from the T's perspective, it's actually really hard to clear. When you're coming out of ramp, your pathing is most likely going to be like this, just clearing the site, peeking under balk, but before you know it, you're already getting held from the person in this angle. It's just a really tough spot to clear for the T's unless you're aware of it and peeking it directly. And even if someone walks out of palace, which is uncommon on an A exec for the first person to come out of palace, they really can't see you super well and probably aren't going to even notice you. One more position you could play at the start of the round that's a little bit more risky is starting in sandwich. If you're going to be playing in sandwich, you have to make sure your connector and window player know that you're starting here so they can come support you right away. Because if you're playing in sandwich, you're going to be very isolated if the T's throw an A exec or just walk out of ramp or palace. If you're going to be playing here, your teammate has to get back to stairs quick in case you need to peek towards ramp with him, or if you need to fight palace at the same time, or if they throw in an A exec and they smoke off jungle, your teammate needs to be ready to run through the smoke off of your contact while they're crossing the site. This spot can be good to catch the T's off guard, but I don't recommend doing it more than once or twice a game. One more start I actually want to go over is playing close ramp. So after you throw your molly at the start of the round, you can just left click a flash off of the wall like this, and then just clear ramp behind the molly. And then after you get into this position and make sure no one's on the right side, you can sit here and jiggle with the smoke out like this. And then if you spot anyone while you're jiggling, you can just right click the smoke and then hold it if they're trying to run through. This is also really good to have your opper come do the same thing, so he can just post deep like this. Then you as the rifler can come here and clear close right. Then you can just walk into this angle here, and then after your opper gets a kill, they might not hard clear you, and then you might get some free kills. You do want to make sure you're playing anti-flash looking at this wall because some teams will re-flash into ramp and you don't want to die like that. Now I'm just going to go over a couple more flashes you should know as the A player. If your team wants to fight through con through their own bottom con smoke to catch anyone in valley, make sure you know to flash over connector like this and not just throw the standard mid flash I showed before, because this flash will actually get anyone standing around valley. But the other flash lands way too far behind, so it won't flash anyone if they're already close down mid. Another flash you should know is how to flash your teammate through the top con smoke. So if the T's take connector with a top con smoke, you can throw a flash from around sight like this. Just stand anywhere around sight and just aim above the roof like this and left click throw the flash. If anyone's anywhere around con, playing inside of con, they will get full blind and your teammate can go through the smoke and retake connector. That's basically it for playing A. I'm just going to go over one more thing you should probably know. Most rounds on Mirage are going heavy mid or going mid in some way or another, which leaves just 1 or 2 lurks towards A, maybe 1 lurk ramp or 1 lurk palace. So some rounds you're going to have to recognize when the T's are going super heavy mid and take a 1v1 on the lurks towards A. So that means if your team is dying towards mid or they just see a heavy mid fight, you might want to get off of jump spotting or playing wherever you are and then just walk into palace trying to find a gap or get a kill on the lurk. Because sometimes there might not be anyone in palace and then you have so much info and you're able to play from palace if they do come A and just kill them in the back when they're coming out. Or of course you could also push through and trying to flank anyone towards ramp or flank anyone towards mid or B. The same thing goes for ramp. You could push towards ramp if your team is seeing heavy mid and try and find the 1v1 on the A lurk there. And if your connector player is top con and you lost mid control, maybe they smoked top connector, you can call for him to help you push ramp so that you can trade out in case there's just one person there and you don't want to risk taking a 1v1. This is definitely not an every round thing because sometimes your team will lose mid control and it might just be one person mid throwing a lot of nades, and if you just push into ramp every time you lose mid control, there's a chance that the T's are 4 people here just waiting for you setting up an A exec. So it's just something you're going to have to feel out in the middle of the game. If you think the T's are playing super heavy mid, sometimes you're going to just have to take that risk or you're just going to lose. Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to be going over how to play B anchor on Mirage. Now playing B anchor can be a very boring spot, I'm not going to lie, but someone has to do it, and when the T's actually come to your bomb site, it can be pretty fun if you know what you're doing. When you get exec'd or rushed on as the B player, your job is to not get a lot of kills, it's to get 1 or 2 and then play your life and buy time for the rotates. Because if you just get 1 kill and die, you're putting your team in a 4v4 retake and that round is not very winnable. So unless you have a teammate playing on the site with you when the exec or rush comes in, you need to be dropping a smoke, getting a kill, and then playing behind it waiting for the rotates for as long as possible. Alright, so the first thing you need to be doing at the start of every single round is denying the B rush. The most simple way to do this is by throwing an early molly deep into apps. The best way to do this is to just run to default at the start of the round, aim to the left side of this window to the top right here, just run throw, left click, and throw the molly like that. It'll land deep and then cut off any of the T's trying to get into apps early. When you throw the molly, make sure you're aiming more left than you are to the right, because if you throw the molly to the right side of the window, it'll bounce backwards like this, and it's not a horrible molly, but it's just not doing what we wanted to do, so just make sure you're not making that mistake. After we throw this molly and jump spot, once the molly is fading, we can come here and then throw a deep HE into apps, so that if anyone was trying to walk up after the molly fades like this, they'll just get destroyed by the HE, so if the T's are trying to pop, we'll just get so much HE damage for free. If we throw this HE early in the game and the T's actually see it, it might buy us some time later in the game. Because the next time they walk up apps after our molly, they're going to have to be afraid of our HE and then stay back until we throw it, and if we don't throw it, we're just buying a few seconds off the clock, which might make the difference from our rotate coming in. If you don't have a good spawn and you're afraid the T's might beat your molly, you can just run to this corner at the start of the round, aim right here on this box, and then just jump throw. This molly won't land as deep, but it will still deny the rush if the T's were trying to. You can also just do one jump spot like before and then throw an HE in the same position as last time, so if any of the T's were trying to sneak up and think that they can get close to our molly, they'll just get HE'd like before and then take a lot of damage. One thing that's important to know is that you don't always have to be mollying at the start of every single round. You can just have your cat player listen for if he hears anything at the start of the round, and then if he hears the rush you drop your nades, but if he doesn't hear anything, you can just save them for later in the round. So you can just start your round by coming here, jump spotting once. If you see anything rushing, you can just drop your molly onto balk like this and then throw an HE deep into apps like so. Anyone running into apps will get HE'd, and then they also can't come out of balcony, so everyone's forced to jump out the window. Then you can play some sort of crossfire with your cat player, so you can play jail like this, hold for anyone coming out of the window, and then your cat player could come to get right and hold the same exact line as you. What's really important as the B player is that you always have some sort of plan even before the rush happens, so you're not doing it on the fly and wasting time trying to think of what you're going to do. Everything you do has to be done instantly, so if you're going to molly balk and then HE deep, you have to know and have that plan in your head, or else you're going to waste time thinking about that as the rush is happening. Alright, so the next step after we have denied the rush in upper B is jump spotting to get info on apps. As the B anchor, this is probably the thing that you're going to be doing the most. We really need to be playing our life as the B anchor, so we can't really be holding angles like this with a rifle, because if we just get one and die, of course the T's will take the site, and that is not good for us, especially if our team isn't anywhere close to B. So if our team is doing a mid fight, if we just take fights in the apps like this and die, we're really trolling the round. So the best way to just keep getting info throughout the whole round is to just sit here and jump spot the apps like this. You don't really need a lineup for this or anything, but you don't want to be showing too much of your body like this because you want less time for the T's to react to you in the air. So what I do is just come to this corner, aim right here on this part of the wall, and then jump when I hit this part of the wall right here. So it just looks like this. And I just do this every time, and you'll get info without showing too much of your body. If you're worried that an opper might be going for the pick while you're jump spotting, you can do a safer version of the jump spot like this. All you have to do is come into this corner here and then just jump spot the windows. This version will give you less time to react if they are trying to walk out, but it is just a safer version, so you can definitely do it sometimes too. Alright, now for some of the most important things you need to know, and that is what to do once the T's actually try and take your bomb site. When the T's are trying to pop or exec on you, your smoke is going to be your biggest friend because you can just fall back, drop it somewhere on site, and then play around it for some kills. And of course, if we have a smoke somewhere down on the site, we can also get a kill and play around it, buying time for our team to rotate in. One of the best defensive smokes to throw after you're done jump spotting is right-clicking a smoke here as you're falling back and then playing behind it in jail. You can just sit here behind the smoke, and then anyone trying to take the site, you can get a pretty free kill on. You do have to be wary of the late flashes the T's might throw, so if you can try and drop the smoke and then play anti for a second and then hold for anyone crossing, that's good. Or you can try and crouch really close to the smoke so that anyone taking the site might not fully clear you, they might just see the smoke and then not clear behind it, so you can just let them cross towards site, and then you'll see them as they're running to this angle. Another nice smoke you can throw is actually one right here in front of a bench. The smoke will poof like this, so you can hold anyone trying to cross default and also come around the left side and potentially get a kill on anyone on top balk. If your teammate is playing towards cat and holding the window jump out, if you think you have enough time, you can actually drop the smoke and then jump on top of the bench and then hold the balcony like this. Just be careful for when they can actually jump out the window and scale default, because you'll be a pretty free kill if you're just standing on top of the bench like that. If you're super isolated on the site and you really have to buy time for the rotates, an interesting smoke you can throw is one like this. You just want to left click the smoke off the box like this, and then you can come around to back site, hold for anyone swinging to E-box, and then after you get this kill, you can just sneak into the smoke and then try and get a kill on anyone top van and just play your life for as long as possible. Alright, that's basically it for the smokes you want to use on the site. And by the way, if you have a molly, you can always just throw the molly first before you drop your smoke. So if you see them, just bounce the molly like this, and then you can drop your smoke and play behind it however you want. So just in case you still have your molly, you can use it to try and delay them a little bit longer. Now you should almost always have your smoke in the late round, but there are going to be situations where you don't. Maybe they faked you and you had to drop your smoke, but they didn't actually come out. Or maybe your team was pushing another side of the map and you needed to stuff your bomb site, so you smoked up or B like this. And then late round, you don't have a smoke, but you're still jump spotting towards apps. You need to know some good off angles in this site so that you can play without a smoke. A really nice angle to play if you're solo towards B with no nades is this angle back site on the trash can. You can just jump on the trash can. If anyone's trying to walk out on balcony, you will get a really free kill, but just make sure you're listening to hear if any T's jump out of the window. Another strong off angle is actually just standing on top of the bench like this. If you place a bot here, it's actually really hard to clear this person, because when you're walking out of B, you're not really thinking to look top balcony. Maybe you're peeking these angles, maybe you're even peeking bench on a headshot angle, but you're never really going to be able to kill this guy because his head is covered and you're not really looking for this angle. But otherwise, if you don't have any nades and you're still playing towards B, you can just jump spot like normal, but as soon as you see them, you need to just run all the way back to empty pillar and hold like I showed before, try and kill anyone as they're swinging to E-box, and then just play your life around this pillar for as long as possible. Best case scenario, you get one of your teammates rotating to throw a flash over market like this, so that you can just peek out with the flash and kill anyone standing around left side van pillar. This flash will blind anyone scaling out right side towards bench. That's pretty much it for playing on the site. The next thing you need to know is when you should be pushing up or B, and to be honest, that's going to be pretty rare. As the B anchor, a majority of the rounds you're going to be solo towards B, so if you're pushing into apps and dying, even if it's a 1v1 against a lurk, if you just lose that one gunfight, your team is almost always going to lose the round because they can just take B for free, and then the whole round is basically over from there. The only times you should really be pushing is if you know for sure that it is heavy mid and there's probably only max one person towards B, and maybe you also lost someone towards mid, so we need to push and take info to equalize the round. It actually can be good to push early in the round, but you'll need support from your cat player. So you can just throw your molly like normal, molly deep apps, jump up onto the van, get ready to push into apps, and then once you get close, just have your teammate come to van, and then throw a flash just like we threw the HE before. So you just throw a flash deep like this, and then you can just peek with the flash like this, clear anyone close, and then get this kill, and then potentially smoke this off to try and keep the control. Other than that, you should probably just be jump spotting and playing your life. If they do come B, you're ready, and if not, you're just rotating towards mid or A. Also note that when you're jump spotting, you can also flash over window like this if your mid players need a window flash to fight mid, so just know that you can throw a flash like that to blind anyone standing in the middle of mid. And as for rotates, if your team doesn't have mid control and they do an A exec, the best thing you can do is come towards cat instead of market and try and help your team clear towards mid to find the lurk before you actually go into the retake. That's more of a theory thing for Mirage, but in general, when the T's execute A, you need to clear mid first, find the lurk, so that when you're retaking, you don't just get stabbed in the back. Otherwise, if you have mid control, when you're rotating, you want to rotate towards spawn and not jungle, because if you come towards jungle, you're probably just going to be behind a smoke. You want to be towards spawn with your teammate. Hopefully you have an A player or a window player already rotating around to spawn, and then you can support them, maybe throw a flash behind them to clear close missiles. But yeah, you just want to be towards spawn and not towards jungle. And the last thing I want to say is just make sure you're not biting the fake and rotating way too early. You're really not going to win the round by just rotating 3, 4, or 5 seconds earlier, because if it's a fake and then you give up jump spotting and you start rotating, if they actually come B and you fully left, or you're just out of position and you lose the round, that's entirely on you. It doesn't matter if your team is screaming A, it's A, because you need to be 100% sure yourself, and in most team environments, like if you're playing in a team, you need to have callouts for if it's 100% sure. So a term you can use is, say, safe call, and that means that the call that they're making is 100% with no doubt in their mind. So of course, if someone is saying safe call, it's 100% A, then you can just rotate, but otherwise you want to stay to make sure that it's not a fake. Alright, that's the end of all the positions. I really appreciate you guys watching and all the support you've given me on the videos so far. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can ask in the comments down below, join my Discord, or if I'm streaming on YouTube or Twitch, just leave a message in the chat when I'm live. But yeah, that's it. I hope this video can help you in your games. See ya.